Okay.
Yeah.
Here we are. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started pretty soon here. We have some people joining by Zoom, and welcome to people who are on the phone. I hope you can hear us. And thank you for coming. There's some food back there. Please help yourself.
Thank you.
We will try to start at about 4, which we have about 6 or 8, 10 minutes somewhere in there. So we're not going to start early. We will start on time. Let everybody get here. How skinny you are.
How are you doing? You're looking good. It's good. Very fine.
You know better.
Yes. Hey, I heard they got 3 by.
I know.
Like Shannon was there.
What's that?
I said, I thought Shannon was here.
She was. Did she leave?
I was like, oh, well, Shannon's hair room is back. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Shannon. Well, Shannon's a mini.
You're charging. So you're surviving?
I'm surviving.
Really?
That's why I like my fifth meeting this week.
You're charging to go to this. I'm sure they are.
He's lost forever loving.
I'm sure I don't see. Don't say anything about
He's
that.
just like, whatever. I try to not
You
get
got- you
him.
got- well,
And so I was like, this is how they're gonna work. He goes, I just told her I don't want to hear any other drama from her.
Yeah, he doesn't.
What are you doing over there?
He doesn't like to be there.
I couldn't hear people like me, so they made me sit here.
Well, you know, it's good that you recognize your place.
But look, she's got 2 chairs on her booster.
Yeah,
She's on her
right.
booster seat. Look at her.
I'm up here.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at you. Looking down on everybody.
Hi. In the corner.
That's where I belong, in the corner.
Sherry's gonna close up.
Charlie. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I don't know how long. I pick up my mind. I'm like, this one, but come on.
Yeah, yeah.
She shot her.
Look at the first car go away. I want this.
They're 4 inches in Georgetown.
Hey, how's it going? Good, how you doing? Well, no, yeah. Not here. And she drove. It was on a salvage. And I bought it. Salvage from another one.
I was talking to Brenda. She was like, "It's screaming." Well, I got her on airplane, see if she could shut up. So did you take any of those off your phone? No, I didn't really look at it.
Here's.
I was thinking of you, yeah, I was in there just going, delete.
The handout. And I printed a bunch of copies of the,
Lord, they don't want to talk to me about it. I just can't believe it.
They let
Weather girl.
look at it. Screen is far, or do you want that again? For them to look, because the screen is far, is what I was thinking, yeah.
If there's the stuff,
Yeah, that's the small group handouts, I believe.
That's okay, I don't care.
Five copies. Hanging around. Okay.
Yeah, we're, next weekend, we're taking them out to, Wisconsin, he's gonna go to a, well, maybe a good.
Those girls are getting those opportunities. They must have went to college for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're, people find their own name.
Just 500 feet.
Yeah, I like all those things. Awesome. Hey.
Hi.
See all the fun out of this? You know.
Hi, Sally. Right over there. I'm gonna find a better, I'll make the font bigger.
Yeah.
I don't think it's made of green stuff. Yeah.
We might have this good right there.
Let's get that bird out there.
This is
Oh, that's good. We're going to Denver afterwards. Oh, for all.
Mark, can you hear us?
For West Dumont Road.
I can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow. You better not. We'll have to shop that ready.
Welcome, everybody. I think we can, it is a little bit after 4. We've got a pretty nice group of people. I'm so excited to see so many people in attendance to talk about a community planning project for DLD. It is very exciting and it is a huge opportunity for us to come together and talk about things we can do to plan together, to think together, and to figure out how we can create a framework for good, solid planning and making good community decisions. And I think that's needed here in DLD.
Okay.
And it's something that we're super excited about. I'm gonna be sending around a sign-in sheet a little bit. I just gave one to Linda and it was not the right one. So I need to get the right one. And it will have names and emails already on there, so you don't have to rewrite your full names and emails. And, oh, Joanne is here, yay. Let's see. We have some consultants who are helping us with this project, and we will introduce ourselves and each other. Mark, help me with the agenda. Do we have, where am I starting with? I'm a little flustered at the moment.
Oh, that's okay. Why don't I just pull up, can you all see? Here we go. My screen?
Yep,
Okay,
there it is, yes.
great. All right. Well,
Steering
pull
committee
the-
number one.
I'll pull the agenda up right now. I don't know if you wanted to step through that, Amy, or if you'd like me to.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
We are going to talk today together about this project. And really, one of the things we want to do with the steering committee is make this a very interactive project. Oh, thank you, Matt. The screens here are being adjusted, so you can see them better. We're going to start with introductions, introducing everyone in the room, ourselves, and I'm going to start with introducing myself. I know many of you, but not everyone. Resting this orange.
Thank you.
Throwing tomatoes already?
No tomatoes.
My name is Amy Saxton. My title with the county, I'm a county staff member, is I'm the Strategic and Community Planning Director. The Strategic and Community Planning Division includes the Planning and Building Department, Housing, Recreation and Open Space, and I also represent the county on issues related to I-70. This project is in the Planning and Building Department, and this is a planning project. We are going to introduce everyone on the team, and are going to ask you to introduce yourselves as well, and talk a little, just say why you're here, what your background is. Mark will say a little bit more about that when he introduces himself. This project's being facilitated by an engineering firm called SEH. I'm going to hand it to you, Mark, to introduce yourself.
okay, great. So I will stop sharing just so we can all see each other a little bit better. Thanks, everybody, and thanks for accommodating this hybrid meeting. We're super excited to get this project kicked off with you, the steering committee, and members of the community. My name is Mark Nolan. I'm a senior planner with SEH. I've been with SEH about 4.5 years total, but I have been managing and working on transportation and urban planning projects and urban design for over 25 years. And I will be kind of facilitating the meeting tonight, but I do want to turn it over to Nancy, who Nancy's the team leader. Go on, Nancy.
Hi guys, thanks Mark. Welcome everyone. I'm Nancy Dostal. I'm a senior planner and project manager with SEH. I'm based out of our Durango office. Just need to start here with a super shout out to Amy and Mark. My life got literally upended last week by a Toyota Highlander in a crosswalk and wasn't really available to pull this meeting together. So really thanks to the extra work from the SEH team and Amy to make sure we have a good meeting for you here tonight. And also with our team is Erica, who's in the room there with you. You wanna?
Yeah, I'm Erica Olson with SEH, and I'm in the civil engineering part, not the planning. So as we're working through this, we're not just thinking, our grand ideas, we're gonna make sure they're actual feasible ideas that I will be being the no person and checking back on that. So.
Thanks, Erica. Amy, do we have any additional staff maybe to introduce themselves, or should we just head right on into?
We do have some county staff in the room. Let's start here.
Okay. Sally Rush, I'm with the Housing Department.
Hello, everyone. Lisa Layden, the Special Projects Manager and Water Resources Manager for Clear Creek County.
And I think we have Matt here.
Hello, Matt Taylor, Internal Services Division Director. Internal Services team consists of Archives Department, GIS and Mapping Department, Special Projects and Water Resources, and Facilities.
Very good. So yeah, that's the county staff in the room.
Great. So I think next what we'd like to do, and I can't quite see how many folks we have, but we would like you all to introduce yourselves. We'll start with the in-room folks first, and then we'll move on to those who are attending virtually. And we'd love to hear, who you are, kind of where you're coming from. If you represent an organization or a resident, let us know. But we're also interested in why are you interested in this sub-area planning project? And keep it brief, just a handful of words. But so yeah, introduce yourself and tell us why you're here, why you're interested.
We'll start with my Gomarek friends.
My name's Tim Gomarek, and we're a resident right down on Silver Lakes Drive. That's about it.
I'm Linda Gomarek, and we've lived on Silver Lakes for about 34 years. And we have some concerns that are real important to us. That's why we're here.
Okay. We'll go right to Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. Lindsay Valdez. I am with Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation, and I live here in Georgetown and have 2 kids in the county schools in the school district. So just really excited to be a part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sheikha Lynn. I grew up here. I'm just kind of third wheeling with my grandparents.
Good.
I'm Joe Locknicker. We live at Silver Lakes Drive. Been here for about 50 years. Was involved with the first attempt at DLD. Saw it come and go. Interested in to see how it can be reestablished and benefit the small community that's there. We also have a lot of concerns about open space, bicycle paths, things like that we want addressed and we want to learn more of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Viola Locknicker is half Silver Lakes Drive, and I'm gonna leave it.
Okay. Thank you.
Richard Doherty, downtown Lawson.
And what are you hoping to get out of this plan? What are you here to try to contribute?
Because it's the only place I've ever lived.
Very good.
Sarah Kaiser, my husband and I took over ATV Tours Colorado, the former Mile High rafting location from Dan and Sue. This will be our 4th summer. We live there, work there, love it there, love it here. So we, our daughter's in school in Georgetown. We love being a part of the community over in the DLD, and just want to know how we can continue to support the community and be good neighbors and get to know you all.
Very good. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lloyd. I'm actually running for county commissioner from the East End. And I'm here to learn more about the DLD area. We've lived here over 30 years. Our son graduated from the high school here, but I'm trying to do my homework. Thank you.
Very good. Jody.
My name is Jody Hartman Ball. I know almost everybody in this room. I'm here for a double thing. I'm running for county commissioner as well for District 3, representing our area. This project is probably one of the biggest reasons why I am running. This is my folder. This is one of my folders that I have kept with different projects. There's been some good ideas. There's been really crazy ideas. But I think that as a residents, we want to be represented this time. That's pretty much it. I have all the petitions in here too. So everybody that signed this before and then the county ignored them, we're really hoping that does not happen this time.
Shane Ball, in Dumont. One of the things I'd like to see also is making the areas that in our area safer and clean it up, make it look nice. It's something that doesn't go overboard, that everybody else can really appreciate.
Thank you.
Kim Mueller. I haven't looked at all these things from here, but I live up on Blue Ridge. And I'd love to see some respect there for the homeowners because the county allows the road to go right through the middle of my property and everybody and their uncle to just use it, even though dogs and et cetera are posted. And then I'm the one that's the bad guy. It's my front yard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy Ferris, Dumont, lived there 50 years. I think my main concern is too much growth, too fast because of water issues.
Amy Romine. I actually grew up in Silver Lakes Drive. Joe, I use grow up lightly.
I won't comment.
Okay, thank you. I still live in the community and want to be in the know of what's going on.
Marcy King, I live in Dumont, 20 years, and I'm just interested because it's probably gonna be at the end of my driveway, literally. And so, I just wanna know what's going on and, also have to say what happens in our community.
Virginia Platt, I live in Georgetown, but my husband just remodeled a couple properties in Lawson, so I don't want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Very good. Oh, I didn't see you back there.
So, yes, I just came in, so I'm Fred Roland Hagan, I'm the planning director for Clearfield County. So,
Great.
listen.
And Matt, you've introduced yourself already. Joanne?
Joanne Sorensen, live on Mill Creek Road, worked for the county, was a commissioner for a while, and there have been a lot of plans and talk about the DLD area. And I just want to make sure that whatever comes out of this process works for the people there in DLD.
Dan Silva, we own property on Wild Wagon, are building a house and we rent a house on Mill Creek. My grandparents used to own most of the Mill Creek Valley long ago. And we'll be here a long time, so we want to know what's proposed and have her say basically.
Nancy Santagata, Mill Creek. And this is for me an opportunity to participate in the community. So thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you for taking the time to do that. I think that really helps set the tone for the project and for the project launch, which is what we are here to start. And
a couple people online.
Oh, and we want to talk about people online. Yes, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, yep. Thanks, everybody. And if it's all right with you, I'll call on people because you're arrayed nicely on my screen and I don't want to miss anyone. So we'll start with Kathleen.
Yeah, I'm Kathleen O'Leary. I'm a resident up on Mill Creek Road. I'm also the executive director for Blue Spruce Habitat for Humanity. And so I have I guess a dual role as a resident and also someone who put a project idea forward a few years ago for some senior housing on the property.
Great, thanks. Carmen, I've got you next. You're on mute.
I'm Carmen Doyle. I'm the district manager for Central Clear Creek. I've been involved with the district for 27 years now, so I've seen a number of these projects come and go as well. And I'm here to represent the district and communicate to my board members.
Great, thanks. Margie? Or
Hi
Margie?
guys, I'm Margie Casberry. I'm the president of Friends of Clear Creek and on the Open Space Commission. Live outside of Empire. And just want to keep in tune with what's going on and stay focused on what's best for the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Megan?
Hi there, my name is Megan Heiler. I'm the public information officer here at Clear Creek County, and I'm here pretty much to observe. So if any people in the community have any questions, I'm able to communicate that to them because that's my job. I live in Frisco and I would usually be there today, but I'm glad I didn't because it is snowing a lot up here now, so.
Thank you. Autumn, I have you next.
Hi, I'm Autumn Brooks. I'm a community advocate. I live in the Dumont area. I got my start with trying to help the mobile home parks in the area. I would like to preserve and grow our affordable housing as we need and make sure it's done safely.
All right, thank you. Matt.
Hi, everyone. Matt Smith. I'm acting resident engineer for CDOT's Region 1 West program. So that's the program that oversees the work in the county. I'm here to observe and learn more about what the county is proposing.
Thanks, Matt. Trish, welcome. You there, Trish? If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll move on. I have McCase. MCAIS is the name I'm seeing. Okay.
I think they can hear me now.
Oh, there's Trish. Hi, Trish.
Hey, hi, sorry, my camera's messed up.
Yeah, we're here just to observe also. Always curious of what's going on.
We live up in the Lawson area at the western end. Born and bred here. Third generation, just want to see what happens to the land and the water, basically, because there's not much water up here.
All right, thank you. Michelle, I know it says you're just listening, but do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Michelle Gomarak. I live in the Silver Lakes neighborhood, and I just want to keep informed of what's going on in the area because there's been a lot of projects that have been mentioned as my husband and I have lived here. So we like to stay informed and also have a voice with what goes on.
Terrific, thank you. Hannah, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry I can't turn my camera on. I'm the social performance specialist with the Henderson Mine and Mill. So I'm really just here to listen, but I also just wanted to stay in the loop with what's going on with DLD.
All right, thank you. And last I have Neil.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us today. So I am a business owner and family lives in the greater Dumont Mill Creek area. So I'm here to observe and contribute if I can.
Great. Thanks, Neil. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Amy, if it's okay with you, I'll share my screen back and we'll forge ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
And thanks for that, because that was also very helpful. So I think what we want to talk about now is a little bit about the project background and scope and really what the intent of this project is. And one thing that I want to start by saying is that this project is to try to create a sub-area plan. And a sub-area plan is not a very detailed document necessarily. So this is not a plan for the LDS church property. This is not, but this will provide context so that when a plan is presented in some future date for an LDS church property, we'll be able to say, oh, well, this is in line with the vision and what the community members want and don't want. This is in line with the long-term goals of the community, of the county, and really of what people want and what people don't want. And I think, one of the things that, there are some things I think that we know are not what we want or what people in the community want. Oh, one thing I didn't say, I actually live in Lawson, so I'm kind of a member of this community as well. I've lived there for about 4 years. And I love living there. I really do. I love everything about the community. And there are things that I wish were different about it. That I think, having it be a little neater and tidier, a little cleaner, not Disneyland, not fancy, but yeah, there are some things that would be cool if it was if we're there. But anyway, that's an aside. But what this plan is, what this process is about, is getting information and perspectives from all of you as community members, and also presenting information to you about the community that the consultants have prepared and consolidated and compiled, so that we can prepare a vision and some like constraints on future planning and some guardrails on future planning, so that maybe we don't end up in the situation where, so we know what to do when somebody presents a plan to us. We know whether it aligns with our goals or not. We know that another pot shop is probably not in line with our goals because we have enough of those right now. I mean, but maybe there's a way that it would align with our goals, you know, but we have to have clear goals. So building those goals and figuring out what those look like, so that if a proposal is presented for DLD, we have something to give some context to evaluate it against. We can say, well, the water use for this does not fit with the long-term water availability information that we have, or the water use for this project does fit with the long-term water goals or interests, or this doesn't match with the issues of traffic in this area. You know, we don't really have that big picture kind of idea. And so collecting information and perspective from you all is what the purpose of this is, to then create something that lets future action be community informed. Let's future actions be community informed. I'm going to say that again, because that's really the thing. Like, past plans started to do that work, I think, to try to create those visions that would let future actions be community informed, but for some reason they didn't. And what we're going to do is make sure that they do this time. And we're going to build on the past plans, and we're going to compile the information so we can learn about this community and share information that we may not know, that you may not know. And not that it's like a secret or something, but like, see what can be revealed, and that what we can learn about the community, and try to make a plan that lets us make good informed decisions in the future. But I just want to make sure it's clear, we're not going to make a plan for the Mormon Church in this plan. We're not going to make specific project plans in this project. We're going to build the framework for future project planning. Hope that doesn't sound super boring. It's really going to be fun. And there's going to be snacks. Okay, so that's a little bit about the background and scope and what we're trying to accomplish here.
Thanks, Amy. That was very well said. I think the idea of a vision is important. You know, this document will be a future forward document looking 10 to 20 years in the future. This is kind of the time horizon that folks like, you know, Amy and myself and others work in. And the idea is, again, it allows the community to express its vision, but also looking at achieving goals over time that are grounded in some reality. And that's where folks like Erica and others are going to help us look at what's going on right now and what's the future capacity of some of our infrastructure. And so what I'll do now is quickly walk through some of the scope highlights. And when we say scope, we mean, what are the tasks? What are we going to be doing to help achieve this vision, this sub-area planning document? So first, and hopefully you can see the screen okay, but one of the things that we'll be doing pretty early on is looking at identifying community conditions and needs. And what this is a combination of research, looking at engineering types of topics that Erica can certainly speak to. We're going to be reviewing all the plans and studies, regulations, and the previous work that's been done. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I think this is something to allow us to build from. And then also looking at a capacity analysis. Just this here. And what we mean by that is looking at growth and development capacity. I mean, what can this area, looking at various factors, again, Erica can speak to this much more clearly than I can, traffic and interconnectivity, and then water service capacity. Obviously, that's pretty key here, Erica. I don't know if you want to touch on any of those.
Yeah, we just barely started scratching the surface on the water and sewer. Met with Clear Creek Sanitation, with the new treatment facility there. They don't have any concerns about incoming, but they're, obviously we know that the wells are a situation and all of that. And then with the traffic, it's both the local roads and then the ramps and everything, working with CDOT as well, that we'll be looking at. Making sure that, you know, like Amy said, that framework, you know, if somebody wants to come in and develop one parcel, does that fit? Does that impact? Do we need to add a sidewalk here because we're gonna add a whole sidewalk later? Do we need to upgrade to a signal at an intersection? Whatever happens, so that we know ahead of time and we're working through that, from that real infrastructure use.
Thanks, Erica. And then this is kind of some of the process that we're beginning now in terms of the steering committee, but a very large part of this process and any planning project is reaching out to the community. And so with public participation, we are going to be holding 2 public meetings. We'll be talking about the first one here shortly. 3 what we call pop-up meetings. Now, these are meetings where we go to the community instead of asking the community to come to us. So perhaps we go to a coffee shop or we go to an event that's happening in the community and just have a quick meeting and grab people as they're there. And one of the things we'll be asking of you all, or maybe some of your ideas about perhaps what some of those locations and events might be moving forward. We're going to be doing a community walkabout where members of the consultant team and staff and some of you will walk and drive throughout the community and learn, you know, on the ground about the DLD area. And then, of course, there will be a project website. There already is. I'm sure most of you have seen it and have probably used it to access the survey that we'll be talking about in a little bit. So there'll be online surveys. We'll have interactive mapping that will launch alongside the first public meeting. And also the county will be looking at social media blasts as well. And then to kind of talk about the main, what we call deliverable, is developing the sub-area plan for the DLD area. And this plan is a document that summarizes everything that comes before, all the documentation, all the research, all the public participation and what we heard. And then also looks at starting to put together some high-level cost estimates for infrastructure improvements. So not only are we want to ground this in reality of what's the capacity of the area to handle development, but also what's the financial capacity to be able to achieve it. And hand in hand with that is that we have experts on our team that know about funding sources in the area. So we're looking at suggested funding sources. And then in terms of what's on the ground, we'll look at some recommended future land uses for the area, if those may or may not change from what's there now. And what this plan will also do in the implementation portion is talk about prioritizing opportunities. So what are those low-hanging fruit that can be done that might be a catalyst for future development or other opportunities, whether it's increased trails or open space, whatever the community finds that it needs and wants. So really quickly, not sure how well you can see this, but this is the kind of high-level project schedule. So we began in earnest back in January working with county staff. And so we are right here in February meeting with each of you, still in the throes of pulling together background information and starting to embark on that capacity analysis that I had spoke to. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but this is the first of 4 to 6, we're showing 5 here, meetings with all of you. And again, a couple of public meetings coming up here in the spring and summer. We'll be drafting that sub-area plan and preparing a draft for all of you to review by midsummer. And then as we move along in the summer, putting together the implementation plan and getting this in front of all of you again before putting it in front of the Planning Commission for their review, and then eventual review and adoption by the county board.
And this presentation will be posted on the project website.
It will, yes. So you'll get a much better opportunity to see some of this in detail when you can get up nice and close. So just.
Oh, I was just wondering, is it okay if we link or add the presentation to our website and share it, social media, things like that, or?
Yeah, that seems fine. Right?
And just to go over quickly what your roles and responsibilities are. You do have roles and responsibilities as a member of the steering committee, and we really appreciate you putting your time towards this. We know what kind of commitment this is. So we do have a handout, and I don't know if you already have it or not, that has some of this in more detail. But, you know, some of these you could probably expect, right? Be respectful of everyone's opinions. There are no right or wrong answers. Allow folks to speak. You know, we want ideas to be put out there without any resistance and people to feel free in a safe space. The role of this committee is an advisory to the county board. And we certainly, these next couple of bullets are really important. We want you, and you're all here to represent a broad community interests. It's really important for us to get a cross section of the community and hear from folks far and wide. And that's where we want you to help us with. And relatedly, to encourage awareness and participation, we really want you to get the word out in your neighborhoods, in your organizations, in your communities about the project. Would be really, really important to increase participation. And then, of course, as we produce things for you to look at, documents, reports, etc., you'll be providing some guidance and comments on those documents as well. And then also in terms of activity commitments, again, I said we will have up to 6 meetings. This is just the first one. We have that community tour and then 2 public meetings. You're really encouraged to attend those public meetings. We want this project to be represented by the community, and it's important that members of the steering committee are there to play a role in kind of hosting and helping us facilitate these meetings. And we'll talk about more of that as we move along. And then that first public meeting is currently scheduled for April 2nd. Amy, I can't recall the time of that.
That will be an evening time slot, 6 to 8 is what we were thinking for the public meeting.
Thank you. And next, I'll ask Nancy to join us and kind of discuss some of the preliminary studies and analyses we've been doing using mapping. Are you there?
So this is, just wanted to start out, of course, with everybody on the same page. So we've done a little bit of analysis on the area. First off, this is what we've defined as our project boundaries with all of the statistics and information that follows. It's generally the sanitation district boundaries with a little bit of fill in. So I guess it's just, we chose that as our area boundary for really 2 reasons. First, it's easiest to get information on this area as far as number of units, etc. And second, if we're looking at development, generally it's better to develop on central services. So those were kind of our 2 main criteria, but this is the area. We don't mean it to be exclusive. You know, I heard some of you from Empire or Georgetown. That's fine. Your opinions are certainly valid. And we want to hear from them, but this is our focus area. So the information we've developed, I think this should not be a surprise to anyone. It's significantly constrained physically from steep slopes to floodplain, and of course I-70 sort of running down the middle of it makes everything a little more difficult as far as use. So not sure there should be any surprises with that. So then taking a look at this, we've certainly we wanted to identify privately owned versus publicly owned or exempt properties. The majority of the area is obviously privately owned, mostly because we, of course, excluded Forest Service land and public land on the exterior of the area, and difficult to reach mining claim areas. The county does own a fairly significant portion of the area. That's clear, the purplish color there. I-70, of course, and highway right-of-way takes up another significant portion of the area. And then we've got that other parcel that's marked as exempt, I believe is actually Clear Creek County. We dove down on that. You know, it's important to identify these public parcels and for potentially for redevelopment purposes, and also for public use purposes. Then we've got here showing sort of actual values, and our next slide we'll talk about that too. This was a little hard to generate, but the idea of showing the actual values is to show you where the high value properties lie in the area. It's a little deceiving in that generally a smaller parcel will show up as having some higher value for the property. I think you'll see on there some of those lower values are obviously vacant parcels or county-owned parcels, with the highest ones being some of those smaller residential pieces and, of course, some of the commercial pieces close into the highway. Then it takes taking that slide a little bit farther. You're looking at the value per acre, really for economic development purposes and for fiscal sustainability of a community. The more dark colors you have on here, the better. It's not always the best, of course, or the vision of the community, but without having high values, you obviously aren't generating the taxes to keep the community going. So Amy's goal through this would be to have all dark blue or open space. But idea really is just to give you some idea of what types of development does generate higher property. And then we've got the existing land use. Not surprisingly, a very large percentage of the area is residential. There is a significant portion of that in the mobile home parks. You got quite a few of those there. There are some vacant properties. Some of them may or may not be easily developable. Commercial properties in closer to the highway. And then there's some significant county-owned parcels in there. I think we've talked about a couple of them got mentioned already. But those are certainly opportunity zones for future uses that we want to sort of nail down a little bit in here, whether they be anything from open space to workforce housing, or prioritized for transfer to the private sector. Let's see, so this isn't all that informative. We've just showing the roads on there. We hope to drill down on this a little bit about any road capacity issues, of course, that aren't the highway, but that might lead to, as Erica said, you know, if you identify an area, say for future housing development, but the access to it is significantly constrained, we need to identify that.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back to Mark.
So in that same vein, and allowing us to learn more about the community and share that back with you, we did take a preliminary look at some demographic and economic analyses. I'm going to share those with you now. I realize these are most likely hard for you to see, and I'm not sure, Amy, if you had a chance to print out any of these.
Yeah, I did. There's
Okay.
5 copies around the room.
Great,
So.
great. I will go over kind of the highlights, but we encourage you to look at those printouts. And then once this is available online, you can certainly pull this up on your screen at home and look at it. And so what we're looking at here, all of these slides are formatted the same way. On the left is the DLD sub area that we showed you before. In the middle is county data, and comparing on the right to statewide data. And so some of the highlights that we see here in terms of demographics, I think we can look at the median household income is one. That is in the upper right of each screen. DLD is just over 46,000 compared to 74 for the county and nearly 86 statewide. I think one of the really interesting things that jumped out at us was the median age. The median age of the county is just over 50 years old, and DLD is just below that at 49. That's much older than what you see certainly in the state. The statewide average is 38 years old, and nationwide. So there are many reasons that could be for that. Some of that may be, I think we've heard that we want to get young families back in the area, and some of what we'll be talking about here can certainly factor into that. Some other interesting things of note: education in the lower left. There's a much higher high school graduation rate in the DLD than there is in the county or the state, but a lower bachelor's degree rate. So it just sometimes there's these interesting stories that can be told by some of this. So those are just some of the highlights there of the demographics, and we'll give you all a chance to comment on all of this here in just a bit. So in terms of economic analysis, again, DLD, county, and state. So looking at employment in the upper right here, it defines services, blue collar, and white collar. So you can think of white collar jobs as office jobs in general, and blue collar jobs maybe more labor focused jobs. And what's interesting when you do that comparison is that the DLD has a much higher, maybe it's not a surprise, blue collar percentage. 32% of the workforce is blue collar it's basically twice as high as it is in the county and in the state. And a corresponding flip there in white collar jobs. What was kind of interesting here too is that a higher proportion of DLD residents walk to work, or at least DLD employees that are employed in the area walk to work, 10.5% compared to 7% for the county and only 2.5% for the state. So much more of you use your legs to get to work here. And looking at retail trade, again, very hard to read. It's even hard for me to read. These are the bar graphs that you see here. And so these are the top 10 industries by labor force. I think some of the interesting things, retail trade is the highest in DLD. It's also pops up in the top 10 of the county and state. What doesn't pop up in the county and state, though, is mining. And not a surprise. So we've got mining making the top 10. I think it is number 10 in terms of labor force employed. And here's the last kind of analysis snapshot. We have DLD County in Colorado, and right there at the top, it's a little bit exaggerated the way these graphs are drawn, but what you can see here is on the left is the year 2000, on the right is estimated 2028. And so you can see DLD population has fallen about 0.25% annually over that time, whereas the county actually stays about the same. There's a dip here, but it's remained relatively even, and the state has seen a slight increase, about a 1.5% increase over that time. So there are differences there. What I find interesting here, and I don't know if this is a glitch in the data, the bar charts in the middle, the top dark chart shows the 2021 median home value. 2023 is in the middle, that's an estimate, and 2028 is on the bottom. That is also a projection. If you look there, the DLD area's median home value is projected to increase by quite a bit to over 600,000, which is higher than the state projection. So I think that's kind of interesting. And there's also higher home ownership rates in DLD than there are in the county or Colorado. We average, about over time, about 80% ownership versus 20% rental, slightly lower in the county and quite a bit lower in the state. All right, so a little bit more information for you. We're going to take a look at the online survey results. Thus far, that survey is still open. So we encourage you to talk to folks and to jump on there and get our numbers up higher. We've had, though, 30 participants, which is great, as of Tuesday. And so, as you can imagine, most live in the area, and most of you want to participate. That's why you're all here, so we appreciate that. So looking at that first question, what do you like about living in DLD? And I'm sure a lot of you took this survey. These are kind of the eight items that bubbled up, the themes that we heard about why people like living here. And so the rural feel, community history, that outdoor lifestyle, people love nature, the quietness of a small community. Again, escape from city life, that outdoor pops up again, sense of ownership, and convenience and access. You are right along I-70. It's got its pros and cons for sure. And the flip side of that, what do you not like about living in DLD? And there's that, what I just mentioned there right at the top. It's a benefit and a con, right? Impact of I-70 cutting right through the community. Some of the negatives: infrastructure and services, environmental and community impact. There's some issues that people feel about housing and rental. We heard earlier about the safety of the community and also the perception of neglect. And what would you change? So zoning and regulation enforcement, improvement in infrastructure, and access. Communication is key. A couple bullets down, it talks about improved internet access that might relate to that, improved transportation and community engagement, which is terrific. That's why we're out here talking to all of you. Again, safety and law enforcement, and then some flexibility with property rights. All right, so that was a lot of information we just threw at you. And I'd love to hear from those of you in the room or online, if you have any reactions or thoughts to some of that information that we showed you. Anything you're thinking about that was a surprise?
Hello.
Hi there. Michael.
Yes.
Feedback.
Can you hear me okay?
You can. Yes, there's a little bit of feedback, but why don't you go ahead and share?
Okay. I wasn't able to get through earlier, but I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mike Castor of Lawson, and I'm an architect and planner, and I'm also making mini modulars for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That's fantastic. We're glad that you're involved in this process. So anyone else? Any reactions to the data or the survey results?
Anything surprise you?
Autumn, got your hand up.
Thank you. I was going to comment that I think part of the reason why we've seen such decrease in our area as far as people remaining and staying, or even attracting people to our area, has been largely due to development that's come in, maybe gotten misappraised, or because of the fact that we have people coming in from areas that don't know our area and so might be upmarking our properties. And the fact that the DLD area itself is just, it's not community friendly as far as being able to get to and from the north to south side of the highway. And due to those issues, we aren't able to keep very many people like we'd want to. So I'd like to be able to see how we could connect the community better in that aspect.
Thank you, Autumn, for sharing. Others? Don't be shy.
How much interaction has there been with the people that were involved with the first attempts at the DLD? And how long ago was that?
You mean the first, an earlier planning project?
Yes.
We have not included that, but that is, well, what do you mean? Are we reading that material or talking to the people that participated?
Yeah, there was a lot of that material hashed out before to organize it the first time. Has any of that been reviewed to see if it's improved or got any worse from the first time they had looked at it? To try to make a suburb out of it?
We have not yet looked at that material directly. We have lots of that material that has informed things like the community master plan that we are looking at. I don't know, Joanne, do you want to comment on that?
Well, the last thing that I recall an organized effort at was in the early 2000s. What are you thinking, Joe?
Joe, you're thinking, you'll think 2 or 3 years ago. I believe.
I remember that when we all did a walk around.
The Greenway, we talked about the Greenway.
Well, and then also about the housing on the church property.
And the housing on the church property, yep.
I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago, you were talking about Joe.
But you might be talking about
Most of that stuff wasn't involved.
the older stuff.
It's the older stuff.
Yeah.
That was a project kind of specific thing a few years ago.
Yeah.
Where there was a proposal, but there was an effort back probably 20 years ago, just to say, what do the people think about this area? What would they like to see happen here? What are they comfortable with? That was 20 years ago, unless you can recall something more recent.
That's what I'm thinking about 20 years ago.
Yeah, and that may have, and I'm gonna look to you now, Fred, may have been incorporated into the community master plan that was published in 2017, which would have attempted to incorporate past work. I don't know if it did incorporate the material that was developed in the project you're talking about, but it was not purposefully rejected or kicked to the curb in any way. Not that there's curbs in DLD, but that is the type of thing that we do want to include and discuss in this project and identify what parts of that work still applies and what parts might not. How can we let that inform us? And also, what do people want today? And how do those things fit together?
Thank you.
Yeah. That was not a great answer. Joanne.
I have a question about the online survey result page here. I'm just curious if there was any particular detail or consistency of comments about the last one where it says housing and property rights flexibility. What was said?
Mark, can you look at the notes on that one, housing and property flexibility?
Yep. So the notes that I have here, and we do use some software to help us compile all of these. So it says residents want more flexibility in property use, such as accessory dwelling units, and then protection of property rights. So that's what I have there. But we do have all that information, of course, all the responses, if we need more detail.
So what's the flexibility? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I think it was talking about the opportunity for accessory dwelling units. which
Right, that's the example here, yeah.
But there already can have accessory
Right.
ADUs.
But that's still, we're just talking about what the comment was.
Yeah. But the flexibility piece, I'm with Joanne, I didn't really understand how that would apply.
Well, remember, this is just talking about what the survey results were. Okay, so that was what this person was commenting about. It's not the plan, you know?
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, when you think about property rights flexibility, was that a part of the survey, was that because they don't have enough flexibility or because they feel it's too, you don't know yet?
Well, so the consultant team used software to assess all of the 30 narrative responses to the questions and did its best. The software did its best to create a bullet point to describe the responses, and the responses were about accessory dwelling units and being able to use what was the other one? Accessory dwelling units and
a protection of property rights. It's just, we can look at the individual responses to get more information, but oftentimes they don't really share a reason why, you know, sometimes it's just an answer to the question, so.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Other thoughts?
I have a thought just from someone who, you know, drives by, stops in at Breeze, gets some coffee and, you know, goes out to Georgetown or something. It's confusing. So that would be under the traffic management part. And it's, you know, there's certain places that look nice, but other places, it doesn't seem cohesive. And if we could, you know, like, as somebody said earlier, make it look more like a community. I don't know if that's, you know, sidewalks, landscaping, stop signs, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, about the truck stop. Some years ago, we told commissioners that they needed wire roads in there. One person was killed and another one was critically injured. What happened to that? They didn't want it. I'll tell you what happened. They didn't want it because they want to jam the bicycle path down on our side of the property. The business owners wanted it. Now, this is for safety.
Bike path they wanted, or a
They
sidewalk.
wanted what they wanted. I can tell you who too. But they ignored the safety end of it. A widened road and an area for walkway through that area, through the truck stop area.
So Tim, I think this is, that comment, I think really helps talk about, and lets us focus on what a sub area plan can help sort, which is a priority, and say, we want to say that safety and that safety is the most important thing, right? Like, safety is our priority. And so that if adopt that as a priority, then that means that government chooses a bike path over a widened road as a community, right? Like that's the type of.
As a community, you're not talking about safety?
No, we should be, but that's what I'm saying. That's where a sub area plan can help identify the and pre-select which fork in the road you take when you're faced with a choice like that. When you're faced with a choice, like you're trying to figure out, do we put a bike path in or do we widen the road? I'm not saying that's actually was the choice at hand, but if you are faced with, you're trying to make that choice and you have a plan that you have adopted that commits you to safety as a priority versus recreation as a priority, then the choice is already nudged to one direction. And those are the types of prioritization work and visioning work that we are here to do. is help us inform future decisions that we might make so that we've already identified which fork in the road does the community want to choose when faced with certain choices that are coming up before us.
There's already been consultants that have gone all through that.
They have done
So
many
now
things.
that's been ignored. Now you hire more consultants to do the same thing.
Well, I would say that we have not adequately created a plan that guides us adequately to make those future choices. And that's what we need to make sure we have with this project. We have had consultants and we've had lots of top conversations. We talked about projects that sit inside of DLD. We've had the conversation that you were talking about that was 20 years ago to figure out what DLD could look like. Is it a suburb? Is it a town? I'm not sure what the questions were in that project, but this is a project to say, how do we want to define our community, the community of DLD? What are the priorities for this community? And how do we want to make sure that what happens in the future happens in a way that we want it to happen? And that is different than deciding exactly what we want to happen. But because we can't decide exactly what we want to happen, we can't predict every single project that's going to happen. But the work of this project is to say, what are the decisions and the choices we can prioritize together that will help make sure that the future decisions are reflective of community's goals. And that's not super easy, but it is a worthwhile effort. Because if we can do that work, if we can figure out how to guide future decisions, then we will end up with better future decisions. And that are community informed and do strengthen the DLD community and the greater county community. And that's what the goal is here.
I have a comment. In continuation of what he was saying, so one of your slides had the stat of, so a lot of people walk to work, which that was kind of shocking. And so that just adds to the need of that walking path on that north side.
Yes.
Because if it's on the south side, that's doing no good. And the roundabout drops off on that north side.
Mhm.
So people that take the roundabout and walk, they're using that side, which is the dangerous side.
Yes, absolutely. And so, I think one of the things we're going to work through during this process is prioritizing goals and needs of this community so that those can inform future decisions and we can construct a vision and a plan for the community that does that work.
Because, for us that live there, that's, bike path would be awesome, but safety walk is more important first,
I agree. I mean, yes, that
We're
makes
not
perfect
worried
sense.
about having a fancy bike path for people that come up from Denver to use.
I think Nancy would also agree. So,
Linda.
One thing I noticed, he mentioned this could be 20 years down the road, and I thought, shoot, I'm gonna be 96. I want this to happen sooner than that.
it's for all the pieces, the pieces that happen sooner, the pieces so that it builds cohesively and makes sense, when we're looking at this years from now, we're like, oh, that's why those things happened that way. Yeah.
So I don't have to wait till I'm 96 to see.
Jody.
We have an online handout too.
We do, yes. McCase, have your hand up?
Oh, sorry, Mike.
That's okay.
It's been up for a while.
Oh, okay. And if you're speaking, you're still muted?
Get my goodness.
Okay. Oh, here, okay. So, are there any other comments?
We have more in the room. Mike.
Oh, good, okay.
Jody.
So I guess as a community, I feel like we've done so many of these studies. And the three guys that sit in those chairs have listened to these studies over and over. And like Tim was talking about, people have died since we've done these studies. What are they willing to accept, or what are their plans? If this is a 9-month study, are we gonna move forward with what the community wants? Because their budget is already, where is funding gonna come from this? Is it CDOTs? Is it? I know my community wants those sidewalks in front of those businesses. The businesses wanted them. I think George got a little confused on that when I spoke with him. He said the attorneys that represented businesses wanted it on the other side, which is not true. I like to go over the transcripts of that meeting because they absolutely, Taco Bell, and I went in and talked to Diane as manager of the Sinclair, which was Conoco at the time. And they brought in attorneys that wanted what the community wanted. And then I watched them vote. And Sean voted for this to happen on the north side. Randy voted it for it to be on the south side. And then George said, I abstained from voting.
Yeah, so that was actually for the Greenway alignment.
But that could be a part of funding for this sidewalk, because they would get funding. I think that's the whole point of why they want the funding for the south side, is so that they can tear out part of the mountain, widen that, and then they have access to the property at the church. Because right now you can't build what they want on the church. There's no fire hydrants, there's not a two-way road, it's kind of stuck. So that was a way you could get money and do multiple projects with it.
Well, so just, first of all, the choosing a Greenway alignment would not have created money. And that it would not have provided additional funding.
But CDOT would have had to widen
No,
our road to put that bike path there because there's not enough room.
they would not,
That's not a CDOT road.
they would not have had to widen
Okay,
the
well,
road.
Well, whoever was gonna fund it, because CDOT was at the meeting, and you know how they trade. Okay, we'll let you do this, you're gonna come through and widen I-70. This was back when they were doing the tolls.
Yeah, CDOT agreed to.
And then there was lottery
to
money.
do that study.
Right.
But that is not, so that was a conversation about the Greenway alignment. And personally, I think that was part of the problem, because it was not a conversation. Yeah, it was not a
That
conversation
safety
about
was brought up.
pedestrian safety.
One of the county commissioners said that he preferred the south route for the bicycle path. He wasn't even considered.
Yes, and that, I mean, yes, that,
But if
during
you
that.
put that on the north side, that solves like a bunch of problems.
So it was during that whole conversation that it became clear that before we determine a recreational path alignment through the DLD area, the problem of pedestrian safety should be addressed and solved. And
Okay, you said it then. That strip of road goes first before the bicycle path.
and that is a value or a assertion that we can make with this planning process. And that is something that I'm hearing is a community goal, and also that's something that can be asserted. And then we figure out how to find the money to fund that project when the vision for it is.
So can't we
is
go to the
clarified.
Greenway, because if you go to the Greenway website, it still shows the bike path that's gonna go along my bedroom window and, you know. It's still, nothing's changed. And I've heard the rumors that, you know, the DLD is a pain in their butt. And so they just stopped.
So the Clear Creek Greenway Authority organization is folded, by the way. So that is no longer an organization. The Greenway project management sits wholly and completely with the county now. And
Which
has.
is what we said was gonna happen.
Yeah. And so the decision on the Greenway alignment through the county is through DLD is something that we may be able to figure out through this project. And we do need to figure that out at some point, or the county does. And pedestrian safety and strengthening the DLD community is a goal, and that is the goal of this project. Shane.
So the last time also when we were doing all that, they didn't even do any studies, right? So what kind of studies are we gonna need to do?
About water.
I'm talking about water, environmental impact, everything that they did not do last time. Are we still need to do all that, or has any of that been done?
And by last time, do you mean when we were looking at housing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do we gotta do any of these, even if we're talking about safety widening the road, whatever we're talking about. Do we still need to do all these studies?
So-
Have we done any?
That's a good segue because we're gonna talk about what this project will include, what sort of data we're gonna collect, what sort of studies we're gonna do, and what sort of questions we're gonna answer through the course of this project. And again, this project is very unlikely to identify any specific community improvements, but create the framework for future community improvements. And that is just, that's probably some of you were thinking you were gonna solve specific problems and identify specific projects in this project.
I was just kind of wondering how far along we are in this
Yeah.
particular
So, but
process, so.
what we really what needs to happen is that framework for how to make future decisions and basically what the rules of decision-making are for DLD. You know, like that's really what this planning process, what we are attempting to do together is what we're trying to do. It's like, how are we gonna make future decisions? How are we gonna evaluate future project proposals, whether it's housing proposal or a business development proposal, whatever. So that's what we're trying to do, is inform the process of creating those rules. And we need we need those to be community informed so that they are stronger. That makes them better. Other thoughts, questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Mike.
On the subject of the Greenway, I've been trying to promote the idea of connecting the bridge over the creek at Elfrona Road along the creek west to the kayak park. And this will increase the safety of the bike path and be more aesthetic. And this route travels behind an open space property and the former kayak place that's now ATV. Thank you.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump in here really quickly. This is all great conversation, and we want to encourage more of this because we do have some small group discussions coming up where a lot of these issues and topics, if you're passionate about them, will come out. So if folks don't mind, I'd like to kind of talk about an exercise where all of you get to keep talking and we get to listen, and you don't have to look at these talking heads for a little while. So Amy, are we okay with that?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So what we're going to do next is we're going to break into a few groups, and I'll let Nancy and Erica kind of work with you all in that room and have some small group discussions, getting some folks who haven't had a chance to speak up, etc. And so what I can do is I can facilitate folks who are online, although you would have to turn the sound off on your end. We'll figure that out. But here's what we're going to do is we're going to have a few groups, 3 or 4 groups, and pick a facilitator or a note taker in each of those groups. So someone can kind of answer the questions. We've got some handouts with the questions that are up on the screen. So here's what we'd like you to discuss. And we'll give you about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes for this. Okay. And I'll keep time. So the 3 questions we'd like you to answer. 1, what assets does DLD have that you'd like to keep and or enhance? We've already heard some folks talk about that. As well as what does DLD need the most that is currently lacking? And then similar to the question we asked you at first, what would success for this project look like to you? You know, what would the outcome of this project, whether it's the document itself or achieving future goals, what does that look like to you? And so maybe you folks in the room, I'm thinking, that are online, we may be kind of difficult to facilitate a discussion, but if Amy and Erica want to let me know when, folks are ready to go, I'll kind of start a timer so we can move from question to question.
Okay. Mark, would you rather us turn off the sound in the room so that you guys can do a separate Zoom online conversation and then
Sure.
I
That
can
works.
message
If-
you, we can come back on?
Yep, if folks that are online want to join me for a conversation, that works for me.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
So we can just press the button, press the white circle on the speakers and mute everything.
It'll mute everything. We won't be able to hear those guys, but will they mute each other?
No, we'll just
Okay.
mute this.
Okay, can you all hear me in the room?
We can still hear you though, Mark. That's what I
Okay.
wanted.
Yeah.
That part off. We're getting it
Oh,
so that we don't hear Mark talking to those
okay.
guys.
Yeah.
All right, while we're doing that, we can go ahead and move around in here as well. So we can have, half people want to go in there and half people can stay in here.
Okay. We'll get started in just a couple minutes.
I think I got them muted out here,
Okay.
but I've muted.
Do you know how to turn this on? So the camera, like I just unturned off the camera. Do I need a computer?
This one's, I think,
Thank you. See ya.
I'm not sure.
I just.
Oh, hey, Megan. Can you
Hi.
hear us? Hey,
Megan, do you know how to make
I want to
this
see if I can hear
turn
you
the
out in the big
smart
room.
board on?
I have an idea. Can you still hear
Oh,
me?
perfect. They're working in here, but not out there. Is that what you want?
I was wanting to get the online participants to be able to work at the smart board.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? Can you hear me, Amy?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, why don't I just work in the chat with this group?
Okay.
I'll have them, so if you all that are attending virtually, that way we can keep the sound on and I can move along. Why don't we try that? I appreciate your efforts in there, but I'll just have folks type in the chat the answers to the question.
Their sound is isolated to here. It's not in there, so they can all talk online to themselves.
Oh, you can talk online to yourselves in here.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
We muted you in the big room.
Okay.
So they're good in here.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Is that all right if we?
Of course.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get started. For those of you who can hear me, we're gonna go with 5 minutes per question. We'll see how that goes. All right, thanks everybody for your patience. So I will do my best to take notes. And we're gonna go with the first question, and don't be shy. You could type in the chat if you'd like, and I'll cut and paste or just share with me. So what assets does DLD have that you'd like to keep or enhance? What's great about the community that you don't want to see go away and that you would actually like to build upon?
I'd like to build upon the bike and pedestrian path plan that we have. That will be a really great way to help bring accessibility to things like the post office from the south side of the highway. And as well as the businesses that we need to get to.
Great, thanks, Autumn. Anyone else?
Hey, Mark, I could go ahead and jump in a little bit.
Okay, great.
As you know me, this is coming from staff, but from how I see it, I think there's definitely some infrastructure components that I think are already pretty good, like the sanitation district. And then also, you know, the frontage roads and the traffic component. But it would be nice to see if we could build upon that as well. So.
Okay. Thanks, Neil.
I'll jump in for a second if it's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yep, you can hear me okay. I realize I only have one earbud in. I really like the open space that we have in this community. That's what drew me to moving up here from along the Front Range. And the little trails that we do have, I really like that because that's why I'm not down in the city. So I'd really like to preserve the open space that we do have.
Thanks, Michelle. Who would like to go next? What do you love and want to keep?
Hello?
Yes, Mike.
On the west end of the DLD, we have the recreation zoning district. As I mentioned earlier, open space has a parcel that's along Clear Creek, the creek itself, and Alvarado Bridge that could be developed into a park. We really lack park space for kids to play.
Thank you, Mike. And I'm realizing now why we've got feedback. I don't know if you know, you're on 2 different devices. So I don't know if that might help the feedback. Neil, get your hand up.
Hi, yes, thank you. I fully support the opinions and comments that everyone else has put forward. I think there's certainly valuable information. To add a different paradigm to the conversation, I would suggest that one of the greatest assets that we do have, again, building on what Adam said, is this already has really good sewer septic. There's really good opportunities for close proximity to the highway, which makes commuting, very supportive, and potential growth very supportive, but also the economic ability that could be developed in this area right off that Downieville exit. There's several businesses there, and if we were able to actually get some housing in our community, I think that there's a really good opportunity to expand and see some more economic income for not only local businesses, but also more importantly the job growth, job creation that would entail as well.
Great, thank you. Other thoughts? I won't call names, I promise. But if there's not, we can certainly move to the next question, and we can always bounce back and forth. All right. So next, what does DLD need the most that is currently lacking? The flip side of that first question. Autumn.
So one thing that I see we're lacking the most, at least within the residents of our affordable living options here with some of the mobile home parks, is the lack of enforcement for warranty of habitability issues. It's not that they aren't trying to address it, but being able to enforce it is another question. And with several of the parks in the area either not having water, having low water pressure, things like that, that's more private owned property issues, but it does affect the residents, and that kind of stuff will chase people out.
Okay. Thank you. Mike, you have your hand up?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. First off is workforce housing. We have businesses that not only lack the ability to operate, we have businesses that have gone out of business because of the labor shortage. And then we could also benefit from more development standards that preserve the historic character for new construction. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Any others? What's needed? I saw Adam unmute.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and chat a little bit with staff. You know, I think there could be a need, and I'd love to hear the public on this for some type of you know, design or overlay district for visual impact or design impact in that area, and probably other areas in Clear Creek County as well. But I would love to know how the residents and other folks feel about that.
Any response to that? That's similar to the, some development standards to preserve historic character. I get,
I do know that our the residents around here move up here partly for the view. So things that will obstruct that will be issues.
Okay. I'm going to put that on keep. The views.
I know, I'm Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
I know for the district, when people bring up different things on the wastewater side, we've got that handled, and we built out to be able to accommodate the entire area. But people are really worried about their wells and the water. And yeah, you don't need to have the pressure that you want. I also had a water and everything within the district. And a lot of the water is really hard to filter and take care of. It's not easy. As anybody in there knows, they have very expensive filtration systems depending on where they're sitting. So they're concerned about their own water and the pressure of it.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
I do know that over by the LSD building and things like that, there's been thrown around ideas that of being able to have an more RV, or not RV, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on ATVs and such, having some kind of a ATV park. Unfortunately, again, we go back to the aesthetic of the area, and that includes noise pollution. We need to be able to minimize noise pollution for anything we bring in, especially over by Charlie's place, because that's a thing we need to keep as a district. But at the same time, we don't need to be adding stuff that could cause undue stress to potentially adoptable animals.
Thanks, Autumn. Neil, we'll go with you next.
Thank you. Again, full support to the other comments that are put forward. I definitely want to build on what Carmen said. I think that, with the great infrastructure that they've put in to be able to handle future growth for sanitation, sewage aspect, one of the things that seems to be the most limiting, or the conversation that comes up the most, is of course the need for affordable housing, workforce housing in our community. As someone that's kind of stuck their toes in that pool to try and see what that would take, the thing that continually seems to stymie is the lack of water. And so if we're looking at long-term plans, specifically along the frontage road for businesses and potentially for some workforce housing, it might seem prudent to at least suss out the feasibility of having piped in water so that we can have fire hydrants for fire mitigation standpoint. And then of course that would, if we had something like that, that would certainly uncouple a lot of the difficulties that a developer, someone wanting to bring housing to the community, is facing, because the tremendous amount of water that is required to put in a multi, call it a condo unit, a multi-family dwelling unit in that area, And then you have to add the water for the sprinkler systems and some of these things. It's almost it is completely cost prohibitive to really look at something that would be able to have a scale size enough that would build and allow for plenty of housing to be deemed, affordable housing, but it's just, it can't be done. So developers seem to either be stuck with the paradigm of having to build, more townhomes, more high-end cost available housing versus something that can actually benefit the need in our community for workforce housing. And again, tying it to the lack or the strong need or something beyond a water augmentation plan if we are looking at developing that greater DLD area.
Great, it's good points, Neil. Thank you. Michelle, you've got your hand up.
I agree with the comments that have been made. I live in the Silver Lakes neighborhood, and a proper water management plan is really huge. Like, I know our house and several of our neighbors, we have some Airbnbs here, and when they have large amounts of people there, other homes in the area lose the water that they have for their own personal homes. So water is a really big thing. Safety, like was mentioned before in the big group discussion. And I wondered if I like where this is all going. I wondered if this plan would include like a fire safety plan because of the forest that we're surrounded by. That's a huge risk that we have living here, and I don't know if that's something that gets included in this.
Well, it won't be included in this plan. However, there are recommendations that come out of this process that will identify future planning efforts. If that's something that is important to the community, then that would be highlighted in the priorities. I'm thinking the other groups are winding down. So what I'd like to do is move on to the third and final question. What would success look like for you for this project? We've been dancing around it a little bit, but what outcome would you like to see most from this process? Anyone?
I guess I'll go ahead and go. It would be a place where we can live and accessibly move around within the community without the need of a vehicle for safety. It would be a place where we could support the workforce in their living situations with affordable housing. As you showed earlier, we're almost doubling here soon, and we need to be able to make sure that our people can stay.
I think Autumn, we may have run into an internet service issue, so we'll go to Michelle next.
Success to me with this project is that as a community, we're actually not just heard, but really taken into account what means to us, because we have not felt that has happened in the past with other projects that have come up. So that would be success to me.
Terrific, thank you. Mike, your hand's been up. Do you have something to add?
Yes. I think that success would be a balance, what we call smart growth, between preserving the character of the neighborhood and economic sustainability. In the past, the DLD has been mostly anti-growth. And I think that is not sustainable. However, we don't want to Denverize the DLD either. So to me, success would be to preserve the historic character of the neighborhood, and just to name a situation that we have right now, the mobile home parks are up for sale. And so I have seen some proposals that would be even worse than Denverization. Some pretty ugly monsters that want to go in those mobile home parks. And it's difficult economically to do something small scale in the mobile home parks because they're cash cows. They're worth a lot of money, even though they don't look like they are, they are. So you have to have enough density, but we really have to have something in place that keeps monsters from showing up at those mobile home parks. And those would be the biggest impact to the DLD. Thank you.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot. So we are going to wrap up. I was just told the other groups are about ready to go. So thank you all for all this good stuff. We'll try and summarize it when we get back to the larger group here. So we may have to wait a minute or two to get back online. But for now, thank you very much. I'll try and reach out to the group. See if they can get us dialed in again here.
Hey, Mark, Matt here.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, they just told everybody out there 3 more minutes. So, and then we'll get you guys back in, okay?
Okay, yeah, we're wrapped up. We'll wait patiently. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
We tried to that. There's a video. That's what we did also. It was trying to say that.
Glad to be back. Yes. Oh, yeah, I tried to do something for you guys. You're the one with the little tree.
I figured.
Okay. Mark, it may be a little loud, but we're coming back.
I remember you said it was great. So I was like, we're sorry, but we have movie tickets.
We're good.
You're all good. Thank you for being here.
Mark, can you hear us?
I can. You hear me?
Yep, there we go.
All right, everyone,
Connected.
let's gather back. Wrap up. Stick around. Thank you so much.
What needs to be improved? Google Maps.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, are we getting close here?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Mark, I will hand it to you.
Okay, great. So we really appreciate the time you guys are all spending with us. Exercise was great on our end. So for the sake of time, what I'd like to do is have, and I don't know how many groups do we have in the room?
2.
2 groups. So let's each group pick 1 or 2 items from each of the 3 questions, just some highlights to share out with the rest of us. So I'll let one of the in-room groups go.
Can I do it?
Yeah, sure.
You can do it. I want to read number 2. That's the one I wrote on. Okay. All right. We put number 2, what do we need the most that is currently lacking? A sound barrier for I-70, petition CDOT. Safer roads with sidewalks on the north side for pedestrian safety. Safe walkway on bridges from the trailer parks to the post office. Fix the 5-way stop signs because they are not safe. Clean up the area to attract better businesses in commercial areas. A sign prohibiting Jake brakes on I-70 like Vale has because the truck drivers love their Jake brakes. No more vacation rentals on Silver Lakes Drive. We have 3. The renters drive too fast and we have a lot of children and dogs. And the people aren't conscious about how much water they use and it affects the wells for the residents. No.
Locknicker's well went dry.
Yes. What? Yeah.
Because they had 17 people in one,
in Marion Petrovic's old house, and they just used the water and Joe didn't have any water. No campgrounds in the DLD. No bike path through Silver Lakes. Increased tax on the pot shops. We were kind of wondering, how did they happen? How did all of a sudden we get 3 front shops? I'd like to see also something, maybe besides Burger King and Subway, something just more attractive that we can go to.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you. How about the other group? Could you share some, maybe focus a little bit on the assets that the DLD has that you'd like to keep or even enhance?
Well, one of the things that we talked about was the quietness.
Shane, we were gonna actually have the other.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
the other
ahead.
group.
Oh, but we also, that was one of ours, was the quiet.
Go ahead.
We also had history.
too.
There really hasn't been as much dug into the history as there could be. And then that there's really community businesses. Like that. So do you guys have anything else on your number 1?
Just the small town feel. Keep that. I think the other one's the same thing.
Yep.
And we had one more late comment about people who are coming up to enjoy the mountains and they don't have an accurate understanding of what roads are public, what roads are private, what roads are roads, because Google and Waze direct them to non-existent.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody that the county can exercise influence over those organizations that put out those kind of maps. Because I think people welcome visitors who are appreciating what they see and what we have here. But people who are lost and not respecting private property rights.
Yeah.
Are tough to deal with.
Yep. So yeah, Mark, along with that, it was zoning and infrastructure understanding and availability. Like what is where and who has what under what is lacking. We didn't really get to number 3. We just had a bunch of, our discussions were really good though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll quickly summarize the online group. the assets to keep it enhanced. We had a couple of responses about infrastructure, access to the highway and the sanitation district. There's some decent infrastructure in the area to build on. We also, in terms of needs, and I apologize to my group if I'm not saying every single one, I apologize. They were all great ideas. For needs, some of the items that you've already said, but I think one of the key ones was affordable housing and workforce housing in the area did come up several times, as did needing to preserve using regulations or other some of the historic nature of some of the community also came up. And we did get to successes. So what would success look like? Relatedly, support for the workforce and affordable housing, a place where we can live accessibly without the need of a vehicle, and balancing between preserving neighborhood character, but also economic sustainability, trying to walk that line between the two, were just some of the things that we heard. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. This is wonderful conversation. We're going to pull all that information together, and we are almost finished. So we're just going to step through, no pun intended, next steps and kind of what we're going to be doing here over the coming weeks. So we are going to continue gathering data and working on the infrastructure capacity analyses, again, looking at what the DLD area can support in terms of development, looking at various inputs into that. We mentioned the public meeting, April 2nd, 6 to 8 p.m. I don't believe do we have a location for that yet? And if we don't, we'll certainly publish that and let the folks know.
Yeah, that's one thing actually we'd love input from you. We'd love to find a location in the DLD community that would work. The LDS church is there. That's a county-owned building, but it's not open, like it's not heated. There's no Wi-Fi. It's not really suitable, at least for a winter meeting. So
schoolhouse, maybe.
The schoolhouse, I don't know if it's big enough, so we don't have to solve that right now, but that is something that we would love your input on for the possibility. Otherwise, this is the other option is here in this room. So that's something that, yes?
You can't do it at the school. We cannot be involved in any political or any religion.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's no problem.
Meeting there though, a couple of years ago about the bike path. As long as it was a Democrat or Republican.
Oh, as long as.
Oh, that's
right.
Democrat or Republican. Okay.
Okay. Then the school might work.
Okay.
It was all about the bike path.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
And it's
Great. So that's a possibility for a location for the public meeting, but it would be nice to have it in the community, I think.
Yeah.
So thank you. Good. But
Thanks. And I think any other ideas, feel free to send them on to Amy. That also includes the pop-up meetings where we can show up at an event or a place where we can get a lot of input from people. And maybe it's input from a lot of the community, not necessarily just folks that are from outside the community and tourists, although that's important, right? They bring money into the community, but we want to be able to look for opportunities and, throughout the spring and summer, perhaps, where we can come to folks at events or locations. And then coming up next will be the second steering committee meeting that will be scheduled sometime after that open house. So probably expect another meeting in April so we can share with all of you what we've heard at that open house, and then also some of the results of the infrastructure capacity analyses. So that's all we have for you today. We have to almost 2 hours. We really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I want us to be it now, and I want us to get some power.
Thank you, Mark.
Success for this project.
Very good.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everyone. And if you have not signed in on my little list here. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy you're here.
Charlie's place.
Okay.
Where it was on the other side of Charlie's place. West side of Charlie's. That's just gorgeous. And I think Boston is
I will,
I'm
sorry.
I haven't seen, oh, it's you.
I've got a copy, but I don't.
I think it,
Analysis or something.
I think we, but let me get that from you just in case. I can give you my card. Obviously Mark and Nancy's information is all on there too, and Amy's and stuff, but that's mine. So
Yeah, I've got it. I'm pretty sure I have it electronically, but it was a community. And then I had to remember, so I didn't say a whole lot. I didn't say anything about it. It was a community plan that was created by the community, not by the county or the planning commission, but the community, members of the community got together and put together a community plan in the 90s. I think it was the early 90s. It wasn't 20 years ago, it was 30 years ago. And there was an effort by the county in the 90s. They went out and they asked each community to put together a plan. Give us a plan. Tell us what you want. And just left it up. Yeah, left it up to the community members. So it's kind of interesting because it's completely from the community.
yeah.
You know, so but it's
It's
like 5 pages or something. But you know, it's interesting to see what's going on, but it was like 30 years ago or something.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I always, more information. I would take all of it. So.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.